You're listening to the DGD podcast, sponsored by La Touraine. Here's your hosts, Robert Reynolds and Juan Daniels.
Welcome to the DGD podcast. As the legendary Sam Ellinger, I'm quoting it, I'm back. No, I'm kidding. Fuck Texas. This ain't about Texas. This ain't about Oklahoma. This ain't nothing but the Natty tonight. We've got, obviously, Robert and Juan, along with Lee Chambers and Billy Pate. Guys, we're previewing the Natty. Look, there's been, everybody, this has been leading up for a long time. I think even really before the season, it kind of felt as if it was going to be this. It's now culminated to tonight, Georgia, Bama, the rematch of the SEC championship. Look, I wasn't on for the SEC championship game recap. It was ugly. It was absolutely fucking ugly. We're going to talk about that and what Georgia's got to do, what Bama has to do to win this Natty tonight. We're going to do that right there. First off, welcome Lee, welcome Billy, Juan. Good seeing you again, sir.
What's going on, man?
Not much. Lee, how's it going, buddy? Oh, I can't hear him. Check the audio, perhaps. Billy, welcome, sir.
Hey, how's it going?
Not bad, not bad. All right, guys, look, let's go ahead and get started. But first, before we do, it's sponsored by La Touraine. Y'all know it. Use code DGD at checkout. 10% off the purchase site-wide. Look, latouraine.com. I'm telling you right, la-touraine, I should say, .com. And also, it's a new year, new me, right? It's a new year, new me. Join the brigade today. You can support the show through Patreon, or you can join our Discord. Just started that up, and it's already blossoming out. Love it. The brigade, Juan, is showing out in that Discord. Everybody's loving it. I'm telling you right now, it's going to be a good time in that Discord, guys. Join it. Check out dgdpodcast.com/brigade/brigade. Join the Discord today. But enough about this. Let's go ahead, and we're going to jump straight into this. National title game in Indy, Georgia, Bama. Everybody wants to hear it, so we're going to go full blast into this. I'm going to let Lee, since he's the Bama fan here, I want to ask you, what do you think leading up to this from the bowl game against Cincinnati? What has your thoughts been like in regards to Alabama preparing for this Natty? Seems like we can't hear him.
Yeah.
Lee, we check your audio, my man. If you might be on Bluetooth, perhaps, if you're in your car. So we'll go ahead and switch over to Billy while we get that set.
There you go.
Lee, can we?
You got me?
Yeah.
Yes,
yeah,
sir.
we got you now.
There we go.
Sorry about that.
No worries. So do I need to so for the question, are you good? Did you hear the question?
I got you. Yeah, I'm anxious. I'm actually really anxious to see how we come back to play you guys a second time around, considering we both know that Cincinnati nor Michigan, either one is good enough to beat either one of us. It wouldn't have mattered which one of us played them. Neither one of us did anything fancy. We didn't have to do anything fancy. We just pretty much manipulated them, ran the ball down their throat, and that was it. I know there was quite a few people that came out and said we didn't look very well, look kind of bland or plain, if you will. But hell, if you rush for over 300 yards, what do you need to do? I mean, you know what I mean? Why do you need to throw the ball? You don't need to get cute. I mean, you get that many yards just running the ball down the field. It kind of reminded me of when we played Notre Dame a few years back with, what was the guy's name that had the fake girlfriend? Everybody was making fun of him.
Manti Te'o.
That's it.
Oh, boy. Boy.
What do you so I'm really anxious to see, how we change, how we adapt, because y'all aren't going to play us the same way. It'll be the toughest game of the year for both of us now. See how the defense, what we have to match up against. We won't just line up and run for 300 yards like we did against Cincinnati. I mean, everybody in America knows we're not going to do that. So I'm really anxious to see how we change, what we figure out, what plays you see, do some things that we hadn't done all season to try to get an edge, to get an advantage.
Absolutely. I think we're all in agreement here. Bama, Georgia. I think we're both expecting it to be a different game from what we saw in the SEC championship game. Billy, what do you think? We'll start off with you, and then we'll hop to Juan and myself. What are your thoughts on Georgia as they went from the dominating victory against Michigan in the Orange Bowl, prepping for this game? What are your thoughts? What do you think Georgia was thinking there and the preparation for that?
Well, you're talking about two different teams with Michigan and the Orange Bowl, and then Bama for this. Bama's so balanced. If they want to run it on you, they'll run it on you. If they want to throw it on you, they're going to throw it on you. I don't think Georgia can do that. I think Georgia's going to have to mix up the run and the throw somehow. Get Stetson out of the pocket, let him run a few times and get downfield and make them worry about his feet a little bit. If he stays in the pocket the whole game, you might as well just put JT Daniels out there if he's going to do that. I mean, he's got the legs that JT doesn't have. So I think you're going to have to mix it up, let Stetson run, let him spread it out. Hopefully Pickens will be in the game and can do something downfield to stretch it. And then maybe Brock Bowers across the middle or Lad McConkey, somebody across the middle. So you got the pass game going. You got Zamir White. And honestly, I think James Cook is going to be the key. James Cook running it out of the backfield or catching the ball out of the backfield. He's a tough matchup. But, Bama can just line up and run it for 300 yards. We can't do that. And Bama can line up and throw it for 300 yards, and we can't do that. So I think we got to be balanced where Bama doesn't necessarily have to do that.
One of my things, Juan, before I'll let you start here, one of my things to take away was we gave up on the run way too early. But I know you're going to talk about this, so I'm going to let you start. What are your thoughts on prepping from the transition from the Orange Bowl to the national title game?
Well, it was big to see how was Georgia going to respond after getting shellacked in that game, and were they going to go out there and kind of sleepwalk through that Michigan game, or were they just going to go and just kind of show their dominance? Unfortunately for Michigan, they just did not have the offensive power. So I knew that was going to kind of be a little bit tough for Michigan. But then also, too, just mentally preparing. And just like Lee said, this is not going to be the same ball game as it was before. This is going to be a slugfest. It's going to be the national championship. Is Georgia going to be able to get over the hump and get that whole thing out of their head? Unfortunately, a lot of teams are beat before they even step on the field against Alabama. I mean, Alabama just has that whole saying. So Kirby said it best: you're either elite or you're not. And Alabama has been historically elite. We have the team, the tools, and everything to be on that level. But are we going to be able to do it? And then of the last 4 or 5 games that we've played Alabama, we've had the lead, and we just hadn't had just done a great job of just finishing. Whereas Alabama just finishes because they are Alabama. So what are we going to do to step up? What are we going to do to change? And is our preparation going to be different? Because Alabama just is going to go out there and do Alabama things. What are we going to do to help ourselves out? We've got to run the football.
No, I think you're absolutely right there. I think, there's more to it, right? I know you talked about the run game one. I'm telling you right now, Georgia cannot play that much zone defense again and expect to win it. I'm telling you.
Sir.
Look, I understand, and Lee, you'll understand where I'm coming from this. Look, the loss of Mechie is going to be crucial for Georgia's success. If you go back to the SEC championship game, Georgia was kind of forced to play more zone than they were comfortable with, in my opinion, and they couldn't really play the man coverage that I think you need to do to win. With him being out, I understand there's Slade Bolden, I understand there's Ja'Cory Brooks, but let's be honest. Having Mechie out on that field is a game changer, regardless of who's behind him. It forced Georgia to play zone defense, in which J-Mo torched us. Right? There's no way to get around it. He lit us up. With that being said, having him out, you still have to account for Ja'Cory. You still have to account for Slade Bolden. They're great athletes. They're great receivers. But I think that allows. And I think that's the key for Georgia is J-Mo. And let's be honest, the spying Bryce Young. I didn't like the fact that I saw Devontae Wyatt spying Bryce Young. You've got to do better if you're going to spy the quarterback. Bryce Young is too good. If you give him time to get in the pocket, he's going to tear you up. But you can't expect Devontae Wyatt to sit there and, you just can't expect him to spy the quarterback. But also, which linebacker is going to do that? You know, I think defensively the whole game plan's got to change because Bama torched us, and if we don't make those changes, expect a repeat of what happened in Atlanta. Just period enough. Anyways, about that, I want to Lee. We talked about Mechie being out, right? I think Slade Bolden had Ja'Cory Brooks in y'all's bowl game against Cincinnati had a nice long touchdown. Do you expect Georgia to see more of Slade Bolden, or do you expect to see more of Ja'Cory Brooks?
That's a really good question. I was talking to a friend of mine over the weekend. I actually would not be surprised, and y'all may remember this a few years ago when we played Clemson, and O.J. Howard had a breakout. We really didn't use him all year, and he had a breakout, and he had I don't remember the stats, but it was a monstrous game. I wouldn't be surprised if you don't see 19 Billingsley and 81, I can't remember his last name, get more involved into the mix just because nobody's really seen it. Those two kids are pretty good players. They're not Bowers, they're not All-Americans, but they're good. They're good football players. The Brooks kid is more of a game breaker. Bolden's more of that. Who is it? Elderman?
Edelman. Yep.
Edelman. Thank you. Sorry. Those type guys that Brady always used. Middle of the field slot guys. They're always open. They all seem to run good routes. Or if you think back to when Clemson beat us, I kind of use him. Now he's not Renfro. You see him still making crazy plays in the NFL, but that's more of what Bolden does. He's more of an in-betweener. He's not as big as Pickens or anything like that. He's not going up over the top of anybody, but he's a good player. I would just be interested to see how we use those tight ends, or if we're going to stay kind of methodical, let Bryce kind of sit in the pocket. And you're right. If Georgia doesn't send pressure like we had against Auburn and a few other teams and knock him around and get him off balance and try to make him do some silly things, it will be a repeat because he's good enough to make that happen. Now, I don't know that that'll happen. I think Georgia is going to change some things up and send some things. I also expect to see, I'm anxiously awaiting to see which side pulls something out first. Which side does something that nobody's been watching all year? Is there a pooch kick? Is there an onside kick? Is there a fake punt? Is there something, that halfback pass y'all ran against Michigan? Hell, he didn't even need to throw it. He could have walked in. It made his stats look good. He threw a touchdown pass, but hell, he could have ran it in. It was so open. So I'm really anxious to see which guys step up. Of course, you're big guys. You expect them to make plays, but who has not been relevant's not the right word because everybody that's playing is relevant in this game. But I'm anxious to see who actually steps up, who really hasn't had some breakout stuff yet, to see if somebody else does it or if the horses, still have the big games. But I'm anxious to see what happens and what takes place there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I want to talk about the Orange Bowl game, and it will transition into this real fast. Stetson Bennett played about as perfect as you can get. I think he went 21 for 31, 300 and some yards and 3 touchdowns. The biggest important thing right there was he did not turn the ball over.
Mm-hmm.
You have to protect the ball against Alabama because let's be honest, I hate to do this, but we're going to do it. The last 2 games, Georgia, Bama, right? Obviously one in Tuscaloosa and then Atlanta. Is it a coincidence that the score was 41-24 both games? Pick 6 both games? Multiple picks both games? Careless not protecting the ball both games? And I'm not bashing Stetson here 100% because the defense was not that great either both games. But you have to protect the ball. That to protect the ball is your way to win this game. You have to make smart throws. There were some plays against Michigan that rolling out almost out of bounds, and he tries to throw across his body back into the field of play. Throw it away, because against Bama, that's a pick. Let's be honest, that's a pick. You have to be smart with the ball. I felt like toward the end of the season, he kind of got careless with the ball, Juan, and that kind of You can't do that against elite teams, right? And Bama's an elite team.
Yeah. And that was my issue too, even with the first podcast going before the SEC championship, is our offense plays right in the hands of Alabama's defense. Alabama's going to struggle with the spread, that athletic quarterback, that you saw, when they played Florida, when they played Arkansas. But for a 3 tight end set, or just just your traditional pro set that Georgia runs, that plays right into Alabama's hands. And so, just like Lee said, what's going to have to happen? Who's going to make some kind of crazy play? Is Georgia going to have to do a fake punt, or a halfback pass, or put James Cook out in the, out against a linebacker and just have him go for a go route? So Georgia's going to have to mix it up. Other than that, again, our offense plays right in Alabama's hands.
Mm-hmm.
Billy, before we get to you, I do want to mention the brigade is absolutely being elite today. Guys, we haven't even mentioned the brigade today. I want to hear some of these guys, man. Look, they've got some good things here. I look at Patrick here saying, we won't run for 300 either. You don't expect to run for 300 against Alabama, but you cannot give up on it that early, right? If you're down, look at Michigan, right? I want to take, obviously Georgia handled Michigan easily, right? But one of the things this whole season that Michigan was amazing at was, even when they were down, they continued to run the ball. And I think Georgia has to do that regardless if you're up or down. But also, I think, Monken showed the bag, honestly. Let's think about that, right? Like that Kenny McIntosh play, that was beautiful against Michigan. But I think that was also a testament to how, they were focused in on our run game, and it kind of just baited guys in. And I don't know if you see that against Bama. I think Bama's just too good to kind of see those trick plays. Play your ball, but be smart about it. So that's just my thought process there. But I want to get keys to victory, right? We've talked a little bit about this, but I want to get your official key to victory for your team. What does Bama or Georgia have to do to seal the national title? Juan, I'll let you go first.
Resiliency is basically what it is. If they can take a page out of Texas A&M's playbook, Texas A&M jumped up on Alabama. Texas A&M then gave up the lead, and then they were beating Texas A&M at the end, and then of course Alabama then jumped back up on Texas A&M, and then Texas A&M came back to win. What's happened to us is we have had the lead, we've lost the lead, and we were not able to overcome. Texas A&M was able to do that, first and foremost. Secondly, we got to run the football. I've been telling people, one of the things I don't care for about Georgia's offense is just the rotation of all the backs, the rotation of all the receivers. It drives me crazy. If you take a look at Alabama, before Mechie got hurt, it was Mechie, it was Williamson, and it was Robinson. And those guys were steady. They played the entire game, and they had a great chemistry, and they make things work. Whereas we rotate Zeus, we rotate McIntosh, we rotate James Cook. Our receivers were rotating the Burtons and everybody. And then, of course, we just don't have a rhythm. If they can just do that for just a half, I think you'll see a different outcome. And then defensively, just double cover Williamson and then put a spy. I'd take Nakobe Dean and put him as a spy and say, Nakobe, I don't want you to tackle a single person except for Bryce if he takes off and runs, because he's going to kill us. If we don't have somebody for Bryce and to have somebody to account for his running, we're going to be in for a long, long night.
Billy, I'll let you go next, my man.
I agree with a lot of what Juan had to say. I think we have got to find a way to get pressure on Bryce Young. We got no sacks. We didn't get close to him. He'd have been running down the field in flag football. We couldn't even get close to him. So, you got to get pressure on him somehow. And then we need some turnovers. Like you said earlier, we turn the ball over, they don't, and then they end up beating us by 2 or 3 scores. It's frustrating as a Georgia fan to play them so many times, have the lead, look like you know what you're doing, you're in control, you have a chance, and then you can't finish. Third quarter leads, halftime leads, don't really end up panning out for us. So turnovers, we got to get turnovers from them, and we can't turn the ball over. So if we can get pressure on Bryce, keep from turning the ball over, and get a few ourselves, maybe a punt return, like Lee said, some sort of a special teams. Who's gonna do a fake punt? Who's gonna do a fake field goal? Who's gonna do an onside kick and be successful at it? It's 2 or 3 plays like that will probably make the difference. So hopefully Georgia can get it done.
The funny thing about that, though, I don't think Georgia or Bama can pull a trick play out. I don't see it. I don't see a trick play. I'm not saying that you might not, but that's just me. I don't see it. I really don't.
Yeah, and before we jump to Lee really quick, another thing that I have to say is, I see it in the chat, where it just talks about we've got to get to Bryce Young. We got to rattle Bryce Young or get to him. We need to just go ahead and completely take that off the table, because you're not going to rattle him. I mean, this guy's been sacked 7 times. He's been down against Auburn. He's just been knocked around. It does not bother him. It does not faze him. We're going to have to get pressure and affect those other guys like Brian Robinson and Jamison Williams. We've got to affect those guys and rattle those guys, because we're not going to do it to Bryce. I mean, he's just a different kind of guy, which I'm pretty sure that'll be one of the keys that Lee will talk about. But I mean, that's just my opinion. It's kind of like he's going to get his. Can we stop the other guys from getting theirs?
Well, since we're sticking on the Georgia side of things, guys, I'll give you mine, and then we'll let Lee run his. The key to victory, and I know we've talked about several points here. The key to victory is keeping Bryce off the field. If you keep their offense off the field, regardless of what it means, however you do it, you have a good chance. Defensively, obviously, we know that we have to change the defensive scheme. I get it. I get that completely. But you have to sit there and keep Bryce Young off the field. He's too good. I don't care if it's against the Georgia defense, it's the best all time. I don't care. Bryce is an excellent elite quarterback. There's a reason why he won the Heisman. I promise you, if you keep him off the field and you sustain drives, protect the ball, you're going to win the game. Lee, with that being said, what is the key to victory? What does Bama have to do to win this game tonight? What's your one focus, one takeaway?
Well, one of the things that worries me is an injury. I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. This sounds, I'm not the typical Alabama fan, because I don't keep up with recruiting and stats and all that kind of stuff, because for me, all that stuff doesn't matter until a game like this and you start playing some big boy competition. But if you watch that Ole Miss Baylor game and Corral gets grabbed from behind by a big lineman and the guy rolls on his ankle or foot and he goes out, if he doesn't go out, Ole Miss boat races Baylor. That game ain't even going to be close. And Ole Miss, didn't have a backup. That's one of the things that I kind of thought all year for us. Last year we were beating people mercifully. We just scored at will, and so Bryce Young got meaningful snaps last year. He got to play a lot. So he wasn't like a true freshman coming in and taking his first snaps this season. He got meaningful reps last year because we were outscoring everybody. This year, our offense hasn't been beating people easily. We've had some struggle games. I mean, I was at the Auburn game. I was there for 4 overtimes. I mean, we struggled, but you know what? That ugly win is better than a pretty loss any way you cut it. It don't matter as long as it's a W.
Win is a win.
I really think if we can stay healthy, and Bryce is the key, because I don't know who our backup is, and that's a shame for me to say, but I don't know who our backup is. And it's just like if Stetson got hurt. Listen, is Stetson as good as Bryce? Well, of course not. But he's a damn good football player. He's 13-1. I mean, you know what I mean? But if he gets hurt, how many Georgia fans do you think really got confidence in JT Daniels because he hadn't played? Now, yeah, JT may be able to come in and stand in the pocket and throw it 70 yards, but he hadn't played. So he doesn't have any meaningful reps. So I'm anxious to see, like I said earlier, how we respond this second time around, what we do. Are we going to throw it heavy? Or now that Robinson supposedly is healthy, are you going to get a heavy dose of him? Are we going to try to run it and manipulate the clock and kind of game manage things? Or are we going to stay like we've been and keep it wide open and just throw the ball all over the field? I don't know, but, I like our chances as long as Bryce doesn't get hurt. If one of them big guys on that D line, or you shoot a linebacker and he doesn't see him and just happens to catch him, because he ain't that big. You know what I mean? He ain't that big, but he's a hell of a football player. So I'm more worried about that, one of our linemen, because, again, I was at the Auburn game. I watched the replay of the Auburn game and saw our offensive line get their ass whooped for 4 quarters, except for, a minute 30 seconds in the fourth and then in overtime. And then what we did against y'all, and that's, we played much better, but it was 2 different offensive lines. Those kids made a monumental change in 1 week. If we can protect him, we'll be fine. If we play like we did against Auburn, it worries me big time, because I'm worried about Bryce's health. So for me, it's strictly keeping him upright and keeping him healthy. And I'm anxious to see how Robinson plays, since they're saying he's 100%. Now, y'all all know, you don't know if he's really 100% or not based off of health reports. But if he is, I'm anxious to see how we respond in that regard. But I do agree with all 3 of you guys from the Georgia standpoint. You got to disrupt him. You got to get some pressure on him. You got to make some other people make plays. If you let him make all the plays again, it's going to be a long night for the Dogs. And, that's just the way it is.
Yeah, look, Georgia fans have been, we've been hounded by 1980. Going into the season, Georgia fans knew that this probably was the best team that we've had in quite some time. And it just works out that, how crazy of a year it's been, right? But, looking at the scope of, college football, right? Ohio State has a down year, it seems like. Clemson, down year. And there was also questions about Bama at some point, right? When you start to see games play in close with Florida and Auburn at the end of the year, there were questions there. But look, Bama is going to be Bama, okay? And Lee said it the best. There were some questionable games, but then you go a week later and Bama plays probably the best game they've played all year by far. I think Georgia's expecting that kind of output. So I think you're going to see the game plan kind of show that. But look, like Lee said, I don't know their backup. I don't even – if a Bama fan's in here, please tell me your backup. I'll tell you this. I'll tell you this. The reason why I say that is this. In the past, Georgia fans we know this all too well. What's been the one kryptonite for Georgia in meaningful games against Alabama? We can look at the national title game. We can look at the SEC championship game the following year. Juan, what was that one piece right there, the kryptonite of Georgia?
We just don't prepare for their quarterbacks. I mean, one year we have no idea about Tua. We figured Tua out. We have no idea about Hurts, who that still hurts. No pun intended to this day. And then, of course, when I was talking about before the SEC championship, we've got to account for Bryce Young running the football, and he outrushes all of our running backs. I mean, it's just like, just prepare for their, I hope that they know something about the backup quarterback in the event that he has to come in.
I'm with you. And Bro 2128 says that Nick Saban knows who the backup is, and that's the scary thing. And he is not wrong at all. Not wrong at all. Look, let's be honest, though, right? Bryce Young is, there was questions, looking into Bama and their quarterback success and their progression. Going from Jalen Hurts to Tua back to Jalen. Then you got Mac Jones. Now you got Bryce Young. Like, he's got the quarterback situation figured out to a point where you just plug and play. You have to try to look, you're not going to be able to do it 100%, but you have to do your damn best to limit Bryce Young. If you can do that, Georgia's going to win a national title game. Look, and you know what? Georgia fans we are chomping at the bit. Look, Lee, I don't know if you follow it, but if you've been on social media, you can hear calling the dogs. You can hear people barking at all times of the night. Georgia fans are absolutely fucking ready for this. And what better way to do it if Georgia were to win tonight than with, the story of Stetson Bennett playing your quarterback. Like I want to take a second here, right? Because there's been so many critics of Stetson Bennett. It amazes me, his story, right? And I've even went on, beforehand and questioned his ability to get us here and win this game. It's honestly, to me, I think Bama's his hurdle. And statistically throughout the games, if you watch him, you kind of see it, right? He's won basically all the games this year. He played well last year. He can win about every important game, but can he get over? Can he get over Bama? And like I said, I think you have to see him play it perfect. I really do. I think Stetson has to play perfect. But I'm telling you now, if he does, or Georgia wins tonight, what better story, I should say, for Stetson Bennett?
He'll be the new Rudy. They're going to make a movie about it for sure. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I just hope I'm in the movie. That's.
Look at that. You know what? One, I could see that happening. I could.
Yeah. Billy won't be in the movie because he was hanging out in the lobby with the black fella.
Hey guys, I hate
little Jerry Maguire reference.
I hate to do this to you, but I'm gonna have to skip. I got my phone's blowing up over here. I got some work to handle.
All right, just give us your prediction real quick. That's all we want. Their score prediction.
I don't have a score prediction, so this is what I'll tell you. If Georgia wins, I will be happy for you three guys. And Robert, you can ask Juan and Billy. I'm not an arrogant Alabama fan. I'm extremely happy and blessed that we've been on the run we've been on. So I don't rub that in people's faces. And I got quite a few bets out there right now. And not many of them are monetary, but I have several dinner bets. If Alabama loses, I'll be wearing Georgia gear while I eat dinner with those people.
Wow.
And look.
All right, buddy. Look, I don't know. I think we might have lost Lee. Lee, thank you for coming on, talking Natty with us. I know you said you got some work to do, so we're going to let you hop out. Look, guys, it's been a pleasure having him on the brigade. Wish him well. And, we're coming back, right? You're looking at Georgia. You're talking score predictions, Juan. You called it out. Let's hear your score prediction.
Well, originally, this is my original thing. I was a 31-10, Georgia wins, but I want to, be more reasonable. I'm a huge Patrick Oliver fan. I think everybody knows that. So when he throws up a score prediction, I'm all over that. Patrick Oliver then decides to go with Bobby Duncan, who I know Bobby Duncan. We've just like Lee and Billy, we've all played flag football together, all good friends. So I'm going to go with the Patrick Oliver / Bobby Duncan score. Georgia 28, Alabama 24.
Giving the shout out to Patrick there. I see.
Yes, sir.
Billy,
my dude.
What is your score prediction?
I kind of feel the same way as the rest of those guys. We put 24 on them with a poor performance. Hopefully the defense will show up this time and limit Bama's options and opportunities. But I'm going to go with Georgia 31-28.
Fair enough. I guess that leaves my score prediction, I suppose. Let's do this right here. I think it's a race to 30. Georgia, first off, you have to get to 30, right? We saw it the last couple times we played Bama, like I said, 41-24. And honestly, with Bama's offense, the way it is, they're going to get 30. So Stetson better buckle up his boots and put on his mailman hat and deliver an excellent performance because you're going to need it. But also don't put it all on Stetson. Your defense has got to step up. Georgia, if you're listening to me, if you're a player and you're listening to me, be elite. You're either elite or you're not. We've heard it all year. The head ball coach, Kirby Smart, has been saying it since the beginning. Now is your chance to prove if you are elite or not. Make history for Georgia. But you got to play complementary football. You have to play that way. Looking at Keeley, looking at DK. I hope you play man coverage, and I hope you're physical as shit. Get in his face, get JMO's face, get in his face, and make him work off the ball every single play. Because if you do that half second extra he got to work, is a half second your defensive front, your front seven, can possibly get to Bryce Young. Georgia, you've got to play man defense at all costs. I think even, Kirby, in my opinion, is so scared to, of getting burnt and giving up explosives. That's why we play the defense what we do. When it comes to this right here, you got to look, this is the last game of the season. You have to take risks, play man coverage, trust your front seven to get home. We didn't get home one time in the SEC championship game. You have to get home against Bryce Young. If you can get to him and make him work and extend play, he's going to be that athletic. He can extend plays. Make him run outside. Don't let him run up through the middle. He burnt us so bad last time. Period. You sit there, you thought you had it covered, and he just runs up the middle. People underestimate his athleticism. I think Georgia sees that in the film study leading up to this. You have to account for him up the middle. That's where the spy comes in. My score prediction, 34-31, Georgia on a last minute drive, go ahead field goal to win. That's a perfect a perfect seal for what Georgia needs to do to win this national title game. That'd be perfect. So. That'd be the perfect story. Perfect story.
Hey, Juan.
Yeah.
Lee just texted me. He said, make my prediction for me. So Lee predicts Georgia 40-0.
Oh, man, that's what I'm talking about. We have a defector. We've got a defector.
Get that rat poison the hell out of here.
Yeah.
Get that rat poison out of here.
Yeah, buddy.
All right, guys, that's all we're going to do for now for the podcast portion. Stick around. On that note, guys, Juan, it's been a pleasure for this national title preview. Billy, been a pleasure having you, my man.
Thanks so much.
Yes, sir. With that being said, though, guys, go Dogs.
Go Dogs.
Go Dogs.
Thanks for listening to the DGD podcast. Make sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and to the DGD Podcast YouTube channel, where you can watch live Mondays and Fridays at noon Eastern. And don't forget to follow us on Twitter at the DGD Podcast. And check out the website at www.dgdpodcast.com.
Juan, here for the Q&A. Brigade, do not feel left out. Do not. There was just so much to cover.
Yeah.
There's so much to cover. We're going to get to your questions. Get your questions. Get your comments in. We are going to take them. Stacy Blackwood, Tide fan. I got a question for this, but I'm going to read your comment. It's hard in championship games to pick against a team that has the best QB and the best coach, but could honestly see it going either way. 100% with you. Look, my Twitter's been blown up with people with what's it called, karate suits on, man. I'll tell you right now, I can't wait for that shit to be over with. I just can't. I cannot wait for that to be over with. Period. Just saying.
Yeah.
Look, best game of the year. Bro, 21-28. Best game of the year. Possibly. Got to let us see it play out.
Well, either way, anytime you have a rematch, it's going to be. It's going to be great. It's going to be a slugfest, but I do just see it the scales being tipped to Georgia. Alabama played a desperate game in that SEC championship. They played a desperate game because in order to even get into the Final Four, they had to win that game. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. I do believe that Georgia had a couple of distractions going on with Lanning, being courted from Oregon. You may have had some things in the locker room with the quarterback situation, but tonight you're going to see a completely focused UGA team. And I just don't see it going any other way. And I get, obviously Stacy, when you just talk about the best quarterback and the best, the best coach, Kirby is that. I mean, he's now that elite coach, and he's got a pretty dang good quarterback in Stetson Bennett. So I do see it being a situation where we're gonna take this one. And bro, yeah, yes, bro, heck yeah, man. I definitely see us being desperate around this time, and reason being, listen, man, we have lost, countless times to Alabama. This is the absolute best team that we've had in a very, very long time. So it is desperation. It's desperation not only for Georgia, for the state of Georgia, but it's desperation for these recruits as well. These recruits are looking there. We have an unbelievable recruiting class that's coming in, but I promise you right now, once we get over this hump, and it was something I was discussing with Robert earlier, I don't see us, giving up a championship for like at least another 3 or 4 years. I mean, we're going to win it 3 or 4 years, hands down. And like you said, Patrick, we cannot lose. We cannot lose to them again. Joel says Georgia 27, Alabama 25. I'll take that all day. All day.
That's it. Can y'all hear me?
Yes, we got you.
I don't know what the hell happened, man. Apparently, it must be these SEC bias hackers or something trying to shut us down. Just saying. Anyways, now I wanted to touch on here, kind of what Joe and Patrick were saying. Yeah, look, Georgia, we can't lose to Bama again. One of my things is this. Kirby, in my opinion, is the best coach to knock out and take down Nick Saban, right? Fortunately, or unfortunately, I should say, sorry, we have to hear it from Jimbo now, right? First assistant to beat Saban. But if Kirby can do it in the national title game, that's the exclamation point.
Much sweeter. And again, just talked about again, it's going to be that resiliency, right? I think that we're going to have our ebbs and flows. We're going to have our ups and downs. But what I would love to see is for us to jump out like we did the last time. We jumped out, we had a 10-point lead on them, and then just to continue to build on that. One of the things that, when we had our little, we were in our Discord group, a guy, Mitch, said that we cannot have wasted drives. We absolutely cannot have wasted drives. And then that goes to your point, Robert, is the best thing for us to do is just keep Bryce Young off the field. I mean, just keep him off the field.
You see in the NFL, look at this perfect example. In the NFL, the teams that beat these guys, they keep Tom Brady off the field. They keep kept Peyton Manning off the field. You keep Patrick Mahomes off the field. Some guys are just too good to let them be on the field. And honestly, the less is more in this case, right? When you have Tom Brady off the field and put the pressure on their defense, you force them to win the game, right? You keep sustain drives, force that defense to stop you. This is the same thing that Georgia needs to do, because I know it's a college game, but Bryce Young, he's just the best quarterback and best player on the field.
Yeah.
So you have to sit there and keep him off of it and let your defense win the game for you. Yeah. Honestly, as long as Stetson doesn't force throws and make turnovers, this is the game for the defense to prove the elite or not situation. Prove that you're elite. Like I said, you're either elite or you're not. This is the game to make that statement. You have to do it. You have to.
You're right. And I love what Tennille says. Hey, I hope we win the coin toss too. So it's just, we just want to win all the way around. But another thing that bro just said, and man, oh man, like if this doesn't just drive me crazy, I hate settling for field goals. And bro, you just said it perfectly. Hate settling for field goals. We need touchdowns. We need touchdowns. But and going to the point that you said about the Tom Brady's and those guys, one of the things, if Georgia can take a page from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus the Kansas City Chiefs last year, basically they said, we're going to take out Tyreek Hill, and then we're going to put a spy on Patrick Mahomes, and somebody else is going to have to beat us. And guess what? They didn't even let Kansas City score, the most, high-scoring, prolific team in the NFL with the most amazing quarterback and the best, fastest receiver, and they don't score a touchdown. I hope that Georgia does the same thing. Take out Jamison Williams, and then just go and put a spy on Bryce Young, and I think that we beat them pretty bad. If I'm being honest.
I've got to do this. It looks like we got a Bama fan here, but he speaks 100% facts. Bama scores TDs, not field goals. You're absolutely right. And honestly, the key to victory is when Bryce is on the field, Georgia has to do their best to try to get Bama to limit them to field goals, because it honestly could come down to that. If Georgia sits there and allows Bama to walk down the field, honestly, you hear Brian Robinson, how questionable that is, right? I understand. That's a big deal. If he's healthy, that's a big deal. If he's on one leg, That's a big deal. So obviously his health is a huge factor into this game, right? And honestly, like I said earlier, Mechie being out, how does that impact Georgia's defensive game plan against this offense? What does that mean? What is Georgia going to do with Mechie being out? Because let's be honest, last game you couldn't double team JMO because Mechie was burning your guys, cooking them on the other side all game, burning them for a touchdown, right? And that was like a demoralizing touchdown in my opinion. But there was nothing you could do about it, right? That's just an awareness and experience. Bama Fanatic says, listen, there's a reason UGA didn't have a sack. Know why. Several other Bama fans know why. Kirby's ego is too blind in his own bubble to see why. Bama wins the game by 12, 16 points. Honestly, I hope it's not a rematch, but, anything can happen in this game. It's a national title game. Anything can happen.
Yep. Let me just jump over to Bro here. When he was asking who is he going to be the spy, he says I like Dean, but I love seeing Dean fly around like a loose dog. But that's my thing. I said it earlier. I think that Nakobe Dean needs to be the spy. He can go from sideline to sideline. I mean, he's just that quick. And I would just say, Dean, listen, I don't want you to do anything else but spy that quarterback. Our front is going to take care of Brian Robinson. So I'm not worried about him. Our other linebackers, and they're going to be able to make those plays. But Nakobe Dean, probably the smartest guy on the field. He's the captain. He's their leader. Allow him to make that, make that decision, or allow him to spy Bryce Young, and then just again double Williams, and I think that you'll see a completely different outcome.
Well, I think and look, Georgia fans, I'm telling you right now, the play. There's two plays that stuck out to me against Michigan that Nakobe Dean made. Shows you why he's going to be an early top first round pick, right? First off, the play against the running back, right? Runs all the way across the field. He sees it, immediately takes off on a sprint, gets him in the backfield, 2-yard loss. That right there was kind of those moments where you just knew it was going to be over, right? Like Nakobe had that shit on lock. Then you sit there, you see the the vortex type route where the receiver based out of the bunched up there off the line comes and does that running route right there and does that fake, right? Nakobe eats that up, takes the sack or gets the sack. That right there shows you how smart Nakobe Dean is as a player. Yeah, honestly, I'd love to see him be the spy. I'm telling you right now, I don't want to see Devontae Wyatt be the spy. So what happened? Nothing. No knock. But I'm just saying, Devontae's not that guy. But if you sit there, what does spying the quarterback do? Right? It keeps the quarterback, it keeps them from running around in the pocket or running outside.
And it allows that defensive line to get to him. I mean, that's where you're really going to, get your pressure if you decide to sit back in that zone, or if you decide not to bring that pressure, which I know, Kirby just, he didn't do a very good job of. And then when he did bring the pressure, it was right up the middle. Man, you got to bring that pressure from the outside and mix it up. I mean, that line did a great job of preparing for that blitz. But Stacey Blackwood made a great point too. It may be decided on red zone defense, really. And then again, going back to what Bro's saying is like I hate field goals. And somebody else said Alabama doesn't kick field goals; they score touchdowns. And so how well will both teams play in the red zone? And then, of course, too, are we going to see that elite Georgia defense that we're so used to? One of the things I loved hearing was Jordan talking about, and just being vulnerable and saying, hey, listen, we were not in shape for that first game. And all they talked about doing right now is just making sure he was in shape. And then after an interview, he's like, thank you guys. I'm about to go and run some more, just to make sure, in preparation for that game.
Yeah, honestly too, looking at that SEC, we needed that. With that being said, I expect Bama to try to run tempo. I think you have to try to limit substitutions. Georgia's a substitution type defense. We rotate guys in all the time. If you could, and Tennessee did it.
Yep,
and
Tennessee got us. Yep.
Tennessee exposed that portion of it, but then Bama took it and actually, just dominated the game with it. Keeping Jordan Davis on the field can be a liability. He's arguably the best player on the field for Georgia's defense outside of Nakobe, in my opinion. But at the same time, that becomes a liability at times when you see tempo being run. Stacey
he's
says
not a
that,
great pass rusher either. That's the other
look,
thing.
I saw so many times. Look, if you're a Georgia fan, you understand his importance on the, do not look at stats. If you hate Jordan Davis, you have to understand. You can throw his stats in my face, but I'm going to tell you, watch the tape. He is a tape guy. He is not a stats guy. I understand people want to sit there and bash him for stats, but it's been this way since he came to Georgia. Watch the tape. That is where you see his impact. But I also saw enough of that one play where he was just completely gassed, and then you hear everybody like, "Oh, this is your Heisman candidate." Yeah, but you can't take one play and build a resume off of that.
Mm-hmm.
Look at all the other plays that he made throughout the season. I don't care who you can say.
Well, it's the same thing about talking about Bryce Young winning the Heisman, but he's getting sacked 7 times in a game, or he's throwing picks. He didn't look like a Heisman candidate in that Auburn game, until that last drive. So
yeah, looking at that though, this is why I hate comparing games. Right? Everybody wanted to compare Georgia's defense to what happened in Auburn the week before. Right? There's so much going on from week to week that everybody. Because I heard it. Juan, I'm sure you did too. Oh, they got 6 or 7 sacks on Bryce Young. Georgia didn't get one. Georgia's defense ain't shit. Georgia also was sitting there playing a team, like you said earlier. They were playing a Bama team that had their back against the wall, playing for a spot in the national title game. Had everything to lose. Everything to lose.
Mm-hmm.
You had to expect that Saban was going to get these guys ready to go. He did. He had the perfect game plan. I wouldn't be surprised if they game plan for Georgia ahead of time. So, looking at that right there, I'm just telling you, you just got to tell me that, and also they didn't have JMO. Auburn didn't have JMO, right?
Right.
Didn't have JMO for 3 quarters with the targeting rule. That changed the outlook of that game, period. So, we've got to deal with JMO again. Now we don't have Mechie. Like I said, it's going to impact your defensive strategy. Georgia's also known about this, so I'm sure they've been game planning this. Will Georgia's defense, and this will end up on this one, will Georgia's defense have that hunger and the knack to get after the ball and get after the quarterback to create havoc and be elite? See, and Stacey here, I saw this comment pop up, and it makes perfect sense. Mechie not playing doesn't concern him a bit. I get that because you have guys like Ja'Cory Brooks, which made a huge play, or which made a huge statement in the bowl against Cincinnati. Also, Slade Bolden. I can't discredit those guys because those guys are really, really good. You can't do it. You can't overlook them. But I'm curious to see without Mechie there, does Kirby play more man? Does he try to double team? Look, Jamison Williams devoured our defense. Kirby,
but he didn't do it against Cincinnati. So you can best believe they watched that. They watched the game.
That and Cincinnati also had 2 All-American cornerbacks.
Yeah,
they were Sauce legit. Was it Sauce Gardner or whatever? Shut every damn thing down.
Absolutely, just completely.
That was I did not
dominated.
See that coming. Did not see it coming.
Yeah.
But honestly, look. Okay, it does concern him. Sorry, my fault. I misread that, Stacey. My fault. So it does concern him. Is what Stacey's saying. And I think if that's the case, Stacey, then we're probably going back to my point. Mechie, with his experience, torched our defense as well, right? That end zone play, right? The end zone play for the touchdown where he basically ran in and then stuck out because he saw the void, right? That's on both Bryce and Mechie for seeing that, and that's just an elite play. That's why those guys are so important. So maybe that's the case. Why maybe it's a concern that Mechie's not playing. I think that's the case. Look,
yeah, you're right.
So we're going to wrap this up, folks. Thanks everybody for sticking around. Questions and comments. I want everybody to watch tonight. I'm sure I ain't even gotta say this. It's going to happen. Everybody's going to watch this game. Let's get that Natty, Juan. How sweet it would be. How sweet it would be if we see the dogs on top, as Bro said right there.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Look,
Yeah,
honestly,
it's going to be a good one. Yeah.
So Stacy also said, "Best of luck." As a person of equal unbiased here, best of luck to Bama and Georgia. But obviously, come 8 o'clock, my red and black shades will be on, if you know what I mean. And I'm gonna be barking. I gotta be quiet, but I'll be barking.
Yes, sir.
So,
yes, sir.
Just saying, we're gonna have fun there. On that note, though, guys, have a great day.
Hey! Give them a shout to let them know about Discord. Patrick just said if y'all are not, somebody asked about Discord. So
got it. Look, Patrick's over here keeping my ass in check. That being said, Discord, new community for listeners, viewers. Go to dgdpodcast.com/brigade. You can join the Discord. Don't worry, it is completely free.
Just download the app in your app store.
Absolutely. So look forward to seeing people pop in. I'm telling you, it's a great time. Just sitting there talking with dog fans and everything. It's a fun time. Just saying, recruiting's everything. We know this. So, Neil says, hit that like and subscribe button if you're on YouTube or Twitch or wherever. Juan, looking forward to tonight, man. I can't wait. I'm nervous. I couldn't sleep last night. I was like a kid at Christmas. Couldn't sleep.
Yeah, it's gonna be a great one, man. Looking forward to it.
Let's all hope that this is the game that we're expecting it to be. That's all I'm going to say. And the winner shall prevail tonight. The wait is over, folks. On that note, go Dogs.
Go Dogs. Great to have you back, Robert.